to Abuja, the place that unites Nigeria.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online, or visit www.nta.ng.
Continue to trail election of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as WTO Director General.
Northwest governors and military service chiefs to adopt holistic approach for security challenges as police deploy intervention forces to Oyo.
Insecurity in Nigeria.
The first leadership and indeed the entire nation are looking out for three major outcomes as you discharge your duties.
Federal government places fourth health workers on red alert.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss dousing ethnic tension in Nigeria.
In recent time, the nation is becoming agitated by ethnic violence arising from little misunderstanding, which ordinarily should be resolved by mutual dialogue. Kesley?
You're right, Juba, especially the latest case at hand that occurred in Shasha Market in Ibadan, Oyo State, which according to eyewitness accounts was the result of a misunderstanding between two persons of different ethnic backgrounds.
And the ability of the two parties to control their anger resulted in colossal damages, which led to the loss of lives and destruction of valuable properties.
Now, this ugly development has become worrisome to many well-meaning Nigerians, and of course, those Nigerians have continued to appeal for calm in order to avoid reprisals.
And President Muhammadu Buhari, in his reaction, condemned the reported cases of ethnic violence in some parts of the country, promising that his government will protect all religious and ethnic groups, whether majority or minority, in line with its responsibility under the Constitution.
The president also warned that the government would not allow any ethnic or religious group to stoke hatred and violence against each other, and appealed to religious and traditional leaders, governors, and other elected persons across the country to join hands with the federal government to ensure that communities in their domain are not splintered along ethnic and other divisive lines.
And the big question is, why should people who have been living in peace for many years now resort to violence in the face of slight provocation due to ethnic differences? What role should religious and traditional rulers and the media, as well as elected leaders, play to douse the tension? What steps should be taken to mitigate or avert such incidences in the future? Now, these are some of the issues we intend to address as we discuss dousing ethnic tension in Nigeria on Good Morning Nigeria. I am Juma Yusuf. Thanks so much for joining us.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join my colleague Juma to also welcome you to this edition of the program. As always, we are reaching you live on Africa's largest television network, Nigerian Television Authority. We have our complimentary segments of the program, and those include newspaper review, business, and others. For now, let's join Tessie Omeri for the highlights of the morning news. Good morning, Tessie.
Hi, Kingsley. Good morning. And Jumwe, good morning. Welcome to the morning news. We begin on a cheery note. Nigeria's Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has made history as she becomes the first woman and the first African to lead the Geneva-based global trade governing body, World Trade Organization. The General Council, in a special meeting, confirmed her appointment.
The challenges facing the WTO are numerous and tricky, but they are not insurmountable. There is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel if we work together in a transparent manner that builds trust, builds bridges, diffuses political tensions, and encourages convergence.
President Muhammadu Buhari warmly felicitated with former Minister of Finance and Economy, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, on her election as Director General of the World Trade Organization, bringing joy and more honor to the country. In a statement on behalf of the federal government, the president takes pride in the fact that the Harvard-educated and renowned economist is taking up another onerous task of service to the world and humanity. He believes her track record of integrity, diligence and passion for development will continue to yield positive results and rewards to mankind. President Buhari affirms that Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, who over the years set major records of economic reforms in Nigeria as Minister of Finance and later Minister of Foreign Affairs, will excel in her new position and validate the global mandate of repositioning and strengthening the multilateral institution for the greater good of all. President joined family, friends and colleagues in wishing Dr. Okonjo-Iweala well in her new endeavor. Governors of the Northwest states and service chiefs have resolved to adopt a holistic approach and new strategy in dealing with the security challenges confronting the region and the entire country. This was at the Security Town Hall meeting in Kaduna.
President Buhari is emphatic, he is committed, he is determined, he is relentless in his vigorous pursuit to bring an end to insecurity in this country, and I want to assure you that that will happen.
We are working to ensuring that there is a difference. The service chiefs and I just took over the reins of leadership of the armed forces barely 2 weeks ago. And so you would expect that some reorganization is currently ongoing.
And 4 governors from the northern parts of Nigeria are to address newsmen on Tuesday morning following a peaceful mission to Ibadan. The governors were received by their Oyo State counterpart Seyi Makinde in Ibadan Monday evening. They include Abubakar Bagudu Atiku of Kebbi State, that of Kano Abdullahi Ganduje, Niger State Abubakar Sani Bello, and that of Zamfara Bello Matawali. They were led into a closed-door meeting with Governor Makinde immediately they arrived at Agodi Government House. The meeting lasted about an hour. The governors, who later came out after the meeting, promised to address newsmen Tuesday morning, that is today. According to findings by NTA, the visit of the governors may not be unconnected with the spate of violence that has rocked the Shasha market in Akinyele local government area of the state. It was gathered that the governors will, as part of activities for the visit, toured the Shasha area to make an on-the-spot assessment of the situation. The governors are also billed to meet with various stakeholders from the ethnic groups involved in the crisis with a view to arriving at amicable resolutions. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has deployed police intervention and stabilization forces to Oyo State to reinforce security and boost public confidence in the areas affected by recent crises in some parts of the state. The IGP has also announced the commencement of Operation Puff Adder, that is 2 in Abuja, to tackle banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery and other heinous crimes.
The first leadership and indeed the entire nation are looking out for 3 major outcomes as you discharge your duties. First is to protect them from bandits, kidnappers, armed robbers, and other heinous criminals. Second is to apprehend the criminals and bring them to justice. And third is to be professional in your conduct as you strive to attain these objectives.
On health, Nigeria's port health workers have been placed on red alert over the resurgence of Ebola in Guinea-Conakry. To this end, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 advises Nigerians to avoid traveling to countries with high burden of COVID-19 or any disease outbreak to prevent importation of such diseases.
Land, sea and air borders and all hospitals have been put on notice to alert health workers to have a keen index of suspicion and to check patient travel history and to report all concerns.
And Nigeria's Center for Disease Control has confirmed 574 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. A breakdown of the new infections indicates that Kwara has the highest with 98, followed by Lagos with 81. Then Edo State with 59, while Ondo has 44. FCT recorded 41, while Kano has 34. Ogun State recorded 33, Kaduna 29, Osun State 28, and Enugu State recorded 23. Others are Rivers with 18, Delta 16, Akwa Ibom 15, Bauchi recorded 12, Imo has 10, Borno and Niger States have 8 each, while Kebbi 7, Nasarawa 5, Gombe has 3. Ekiti State recorded 2 new infections. Nigeria now has 146,928 confirmed cases of COVID-19, out of which 123,009 were treated and discharged, while 1,761 died of the virus. And that concludes the morning news. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Kingsley and Jume after this break.
My dear party members, there comes a time when all good people must not only speak, but rise up and get involved in the task of improving their society. The need has never been greater than now for all Nigerians to actively contribute to the all-important task of nation building by bringing about good leadership and governance. For most citizens, their greatest weapon is their vote. Register now for your party and register when the time comes for elections. Political parties are the main vehicles under our laws through which citizens can participate in the ideals and practices of our democracy. As we have seen happening around the world, good citizens join political parties and use them to bring about the changes they desire. I am therefore endorsing the nationwide membership registration and the revalidation exercise embarked upon by our party, the All Progressive Congress. I call on patriotic Nigerians to come out during the exercise, which starts on the 26th of January, and avail themselves of the opportunity to join the APC. Thank you, and may God bless our country.
Smartphone Network.
Hello, I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher yo mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher yo mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged yes school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi. We know happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders. Hey, we are trying, shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of Pamio.
Thanks for joining us. Now, investment promotion expert optimistic that the World Trade Organization new Director General Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala will bring to bear experiences gathered over the years to advance trade globally. For details, let's join Kunne Adeye.
Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has finally been confirmed as the new Director General of the World Trade Organization. From President Muhammadu Buhari to other Nigerians, the former Minister of Finance will undoubtedly bring to bear her wealth of experiences gathered over the years as an international economist in discharging her duties. An investment promotion expert, Ogbonna Okuku, said since the World Trade Organization is interested in developing economies, Nigeria will definitely benefit from the WTO.
She sits in a good position where she can actually, make a case, for the over 600 people that she's pretending over to, actually maybe vote more energy or funds towards, bringing that training, bringing that support, those technical support that they will bring to help developing nations, become better when it comes to trade facilitation.
In another development, a capital market expert, Professor Uche Uwaleke, has emphasized that the central bank's stance on cryptocurrency is to properly study its dynamics.
There is no denying the fact that cryptocurrencies, digital currencies, have come to stay. They've now become a feature of the modern world, of the modern economy. So it's not something we can pretend that doesn't exist. So what the central bank, in my view, has done is to buy time to be able to understand it, fully, and possibly to come up with regulations.
With business news, I'm Kunle Adeye.
Thank you, Kunle, for the business package. Up next now is Newspaper Review.
Bayo Acheobi, our newspaper reviewer, is here in the studio. Good morning, Bayo.
Thank you, Jumai. Good morning.
See you.
Good morning, Kinsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
Hi, Bayo.
Thank you.
Okay, Bayo, let's begin with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And just below the masthead, FG raises alarm over Ebola resurgence. You find details on page 4. Many headsmen being prosecuted for alleged killings that's attributed to the presidency. You find details on page 4 too. Governors loyalists kick as Lai wants Kwara APC registration cancelled. You find details on page 37. And the bold headlines we have here: Shasha crisis. Northerners leaving Ibadan in droves with kickers. No support from government will contribute to feed victims. That's coming from the leadership. Bagudu Ganduje Bello Matawali meets Makinde. IGP deploys 4 riot police squadrons to Ibadan. And the picture you see there, Northerners boarding a bus near the residence of Sarkin Sasa Alhaji Haruna Meyasin. That was yesterday. And officials of Yoruba and Hausa communities during a peace meeting in Ibadan yesterday. You find all these details on page 5. At the bottom plate of the Daily Trust newspaper, Buhari orders set agenda for Okonjo-Iweala as WTO DG. Details on page 19. Many educated Nigerians undermining national security. That's coming from the National Security Advisor. That details is on page 6. Federal government to recruit 30,960 community security officers. Details on page 44. And 6 girls killed as explosion hits Zamfara village. Details on page 10. Kesley?
Right, Jumai, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. Above the name flag says gas supply increase boosts power generation. And Abiodun hosts 5 northern governors over headsmen attacks today. Petrol subsidy may hit 11.2 billion naira per week. Buhari, National Assembly and governors hail Okonjo-Iweala's emergence as WTO boss. And you have a COVID-19 update there. The figures are there for Nigerians to see. Total fatalities in Nigeria now 1,761. Worldwide, number of persons who have died over 2.4 million. Lead story of the Punch says, strike hits varsities hard. Students battle filth, water and power problems. SANU stops power supply to OAU Senate building. That's Bafemi Awolowo University Senate building. Threatens total darkness. We contribute 500 naira per room to clean our hostels, say UNN students. And we defecate in the bush at night due to lack of water. That's according to Jos Varsity students. Police deploy 6,000 operatives in Northwest, North and Central over banditry. Victim escapes with bullet wounds among Niger abducted travelers. Kano PDP demands arrest of APC chair, alleges incitement. Benue shuts boarding school as strange illness his institution. After forfeiting embezzled money, Yari should be prosecuted. That's according to some senior advocates of Nigeria and others. Story on page 16. Plateau gunmen killed 3 and police summons stakeholders meeting. DJ clones Buretai and Dangote's daughter's Facebook accounts. Federal government puts border agencies on alert over Ebola outbreak in Guinea. That's also on page 16. Ayo.
Thank you, Kingsley. Many Nigerians are enamored about the World Trade Organization confirming Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the new Director General of the World Trade Organization. She becomes the first female and also the first African. And our wish is that she will give her best and be the best Director General of the World Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization is elected by unanimity. Unfortunately, 163 countries voted for Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, but South Korea and United States held in support of the Minister of Trade for South Korea, Yoo Moon-hee. Eventually, Yoo Moon-hee had to step down, but the United States had held its reservation. Luckily, when the Biden administration came in, they also upheld Okonjo-Iweala's nomination. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala expressed surprise with the U.S. reservation earlier on because she says she had been interviewed on 2 occasions by the United States, and they had indicated their support. She was actually surprised when such happened, but anything could have happened under the infamous administration of Donald Trump. 4 governors of the North have visited Oyo State. They are Governor of Kebbi State, Governor of Kano, Governor of Zamfara, and Governor of Niger State. They met their brother of Oyo State. They are into closed-door meeting to look at the tension that has ensued in Shasha Market following altercation and clashes and destruction that got on there between Thursday and Friday. Some traders, women and children displaced from the violence are now camped at the residence of the Serikin Shasha as well as the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture. The crisis has actually started when a porter inadvertently nudged at a pregnant woman while conveying a basket of tomato. Some other young men who had come to intervene, and before you knew it, everything snowballed along ethnic lines, and there were destruction. Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State says that his administration will ensure that justice is served to all the victims. A judicial panel is to be inaugurated to investigate the crisis and bring all culprits to justice. He is also to establish a peace and security committee, and this will ensure that grievances are addressed. He has described individuals who have continued to stoke ethnic flame through their utterances, their action, and especially posting on the social media, saying that they are handing petrol and matches to the people. And when the fire they are trying to set turns to inferno, they would have run away. So he has cautioned that common sense should prevail, and they are trying to overcome the challenges. Talking about the security, the National Security Advisor led service chief to meet with governors of Northwest and some religious leaders in Kaduna. They were looking at the security situation in the Northwest. The service chief, led by the chief, CDS, assured that there's going to be a new approach, and they will require the cooperation of all to succeed in surmounting the challenges. The National Security Advisor reiterated the President Muhammadu Buhari's concern about the level of security and the determination to see an end to it. The chairman of Northern Governors Forum and governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, said, peace is universal and it doesn't have any religion. Whether you are a Christian or Muslim, everybody requires peace. His host counterpart, Governor Nasir El-Rufai, said the audacity of the bandits is getting out of hand. They even have the audacity to even attack and kill some military personnel. The Chief of Defense Staff assured that a new approach will be adopted to eliminate the concerns. There is a report from Punch pointing out that 33 million Nigerians are active on the social media. But a corollary to that is another report where Facebook has indicated that between it had 26.9 million pieces of hate speech on the social media. That is in the 4th quarter of 2020 alone.
In Nigeria?
Around the world. 26.9 million incidences of hate speech. That tells you, and hate speech should not be accorded freedom of expression. In fact, it is a cardinal principle of the United Nations. Hate speech should not be accorded freedom of expression because
did they disaggregate the figures to show from which regions of the world you are having a number of those incidents of hate speech? Because
no, they didn't give the breakdown.
Last quarter of last year, I'll just give you an example. In the lead up to the U.S. presidential election, and even after the U.S. presidential election, we saw what happened right up to the 6th of January, when there was an attempt to tear down the Capitol. The Capitol. So, where did these numbers come from? I don't know. Perhaps that could be one way of further interrogating the numbers to see where those are coming from.
But you know, Facebook and the other social media are worldwide, and so they give an aggregate of the worldwide. But the worrying point is that hate speech is on the increase across the world.
That's right. Thanks. That's still on the Punch. There's a story on page 5, and this is it was curious and unfortunate, and if not interesting. The story on page 5 of the Punch comes with the headline, Female Serial Convict Jailed 3 Years for Issuing Dot Check. Now, it's a former Deputy Chief Registrar of the Oyo State High Court, Mutiat Adio, has been sentenced to 3 years imprisonment for presenting a dot check for the purchase of a vehicle. The vehicle was worth 1.5 million naira. Now, this is also the story, that she was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment on the 18th of May 2018 for obtaining 9.2 million naira from a Nigerian resident in Ireland on false pretenses. Also, on the 6th of March 2020, that was last year, she was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment for stealing over 22 million naira from Guaranteed Trust Bank PLC.
So how did she do that?
Where was she to have committed the other subsequent offenses?
No, she was earlier sentenced for those other offenses. Yeah. This is the latest for which she's just been convicted, which is why the headline said female serial convict jailed 3 years for issuing dot check. The offenses were committed at different times. And so it's payback time. Wow. But I've been a deputy chief registrar of a high court, and to be this light fingered, it's something that is very worrisome.
Worrisome, yes.
That's right.
Yes. The unfortunate other story, there were 6 girls that were killed at Magamini in Zamfara. Actually, they had touched an explosive device. They didn't know it was one, and it exploded. You know, when you go to war-torn areas, we have such instances in the northeast now where there is war against insurgency. Sometimes IEDs are left and are unattended to, and children, whenever they see anything, they think we want to play with it, and it can be very, very dangerous.
You think it was just left there or it was planted?
It could be either, but in all instances, the best caution is to advise children to be very careful whenever they see any strange object, to report to adults rather than go and touch it. We had such instances immediately after the Civil War. There were several unexploded bombs.
Unexploded ordnances.
Just like we have in Congo and all that. Okay, well, let's now go to the editorial, and it's coming from the Nation newspaper, and it's on Bitcoin peril. The anti-CBN hysteria over its cryptocurrency hammer belies that markets high risk. And they just said the CBN could not have been expected to do nothing until things go awry, when by its own admission, grave dangers loom ahead, just like the MMM issue.
Yes. Well, the editorial is supporting the action taken by the central bank in protecting Nigerians. And it has predicated its support on 4 grounds. First of all, that the central bank had earlier on issued a caveat emptor to warn Nigerians about it. But when they found out that within the Nigerian banking system, Nigeria had about 60,215 bitcoins, it became very alarming, and central bank had to do something. Secondly, cryptocurrency are speculative, and anybody who invests in it is seriously in peril of anything that can happen by way of the investment. And thirdly, the assets were also volatile, and they posed threat to especially medium-scale enterprises, which is part of the policy of government to try and bring up by empowering many more Nigerians. So, in fact, the Security and Exchange Commission says now it is to work with the Central Bank of Nigeria to ensure that they protect the Nigeria's interests and from the threats that is coming for cryptocurrency.
Okay.
Incidentally, that was one of the topics we discussed last week. Yes. Very interesting topic, very hot. Where you sat was where one of the cryptocurrency dealers sat. They provided their own perspectives. I think it's going to be an ongoing debate. In fact, at the end of our discussion last week, I think probably the day after, also MasterCard now indicated that it was also getting into cryptocurrency. MasterCard.
Well, the level of cryptocurrency transaction in Nigeria is so high. In fact, Nigeria is second after United States in dealing with cryptocurrency.
Number 3.
Number 3.
The experts told us last week that we're number 3.
Well, the paper today was saying that they're second to US.
Number 3. That's what the experts said last week.
Okay. Bayo, thank you for coming.
Thank you too.
It's a pleasure. We'll take a break now. When we return, our conversation on dousing ethnic tension will begin.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest asset the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youth, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. # Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
The second wave of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic is upon us.
To safeguard lives of our people, government has signed the health protection regulations, which makes wearing a face mask mandatory in public places.
Wear a mask. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water. And use hand sanitizer.
COVID-19 is real. Do not be infected. Do not spread it. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Thanks for joining us. Now, the recent ethnic violence in some parts of the country has generated reactions by some leaders, thereby prompting consultations and meetings on ways to avert its escalation. Abdul Salam Jibril put together this report to serve as a backgrounder for our discussion.
Nigeria has one of the most ethnically diverse societies in the world, with over 250 ethnic groups and over 500 languages. But what is often viewed as a rich cultural heritage has often been a source of conflict and a deterrent to development. Over the years, different ethnic champions have made incendiary comments and issued ultimatum to other ethnic groups living in different parts of the country, which most likely threaten the peace and unity of the country. The most recent example is the ethnic violence in Oyo State. Reports say several people lost their lives after a clash triggered by the fatal stabbing of a cobbler by a cart pusher in Shasha Market in Ibadan, which degenerated into an ethnic conflict. Similar tensions are also reported in the southeast, particularly in Olu, Imo State, and some other parts of the country. Recall that the Department of State Services, DSS, has had cause to warn twice this year that certain state actors were bent on exploiting the country's fault lines to cause ethno-religious conflict in some parts of the country. The ongoing scenario is being aggravated by publications by some media organizations in the country, as well as the social media. In his reaction to the reported cases of ethnic violence in parts of the country, President Muhammadu Buhari has vowed that his government will protect all religious and ethnic groups, whether majority or minority, in line with its responsibility under the Constitution. The president warned that the government will not allow any ethnic or religious group to stoke up hatred and violence against other groups. The big question is, why should people who have been living in peace for many years now resort to violence after slight provocation? guest on the program will speak to these shortly.
All right, many thanks, Abdul Salam, for that backgrounder. With us to discuss this issue, let's welcome our regular guest, Dr. Chris Akomas, is the former Deputy Governor of Abia State. Your Excellency, a pleasure to have you this morning.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you. And joining us from our Kaduna Network Center, I would like to welcome Honorable Muhammad Ali. He's a security expert and a former member of the Kaduna State House of Assembly. Honorable Muhammad Ali, delighted to have you this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
All right. We have two guests who are joining us via Zoom from Calabar. I would like to welcome Professor Oshita. He is Executive Director, Ubuntu Center for Africa Peace Building and Development, and former Director General of the Center for Conflict Resolution. Professor Oshita, pleasure to have you with us this morning. And also with us via Zoom from Gombe, we would like to welcome Professor of Mass Communication, Professor Umaru Pate, who is now Vice Chancellor of the Federal University Kashere in Gombe State. Prof, delighted to have you with us this morning.
Thank you and good morning.
All right. So, gentlemen, let's start off the conversation. I didn't quite hear the audio of Professor Oshita, but assuming the audio is fine, and gentlemen, let's look at what is probably now a very familiar cycle. It is often said that ordinary Nigerians, from different parts of the country, they trade together, they ride in buses together, they live as neighbors, there is no daily tension, but suddenly there is a trigger. Something happens to a little kid, or something happens to a person of a different ethnic group or a different religious background, and then there is a conflagration such as we have seen in Shasha. And thereafter, the leaders will be engaging in diplomatic shuttle to ensure that the tensions are doused. Some analysts have said that there are perhaps more fundamental issues that we haven't addressed, and therefore we keep being misled by the apparent amity amongst the various ethnic groups, such as we see them, trading together, living together, until one little crisis sparks off another big fire. Let's begin with Dr. Chris Akomas. What are your thoughts?
Thank you, Councillor. It's very, very unfortunate. Growing up and even till date, we go to school together, play together, from various ethnic groups, from various religious backgrounds. I believe there is something going on, and I hope that our security experts and all those that have been watching the event, I've been thinking about this. It is like an attack on our food security, but using our weakness. And what is that, our weakness? Our weakness is our spirituality. You know, we are very spiritual people. So religious-wise, we are very sentimental about it. We are very emotional. Ethnicity, as unfortunately propounded by, generations. You see, Omoibo, it's Hausa, it's Yoruba, all those names that are given. And those names are not given and transmitted to our children in love. It is backed up with a kind of negative thinking. And that goes into the mentality of the people as we grow on. Why do I say it's attack on our food security? What is happening in Maiduguri? what is happening in Zamfara, in Kaduna, in Ibadan, in Abia, all over the country, in Edo, what are the areas? In Ondo, people are complaining, we can't go to our farm, we can't do this. People were killed in Borno State for going to the farm. What is the problem in Edo and Delta? Going to the farm. What is the problem? How did the problem in Oyo started? Going to the farm. What are the issues in Ilsukwata and Umunochi? Going to the farm. And when you think about it, same style. Could it be that someone somewhere, having predicted, I'm just, thinking aloud. If you recall, it was predicted that before 2015, Nigeria will disintegrate. God didn't allow that to happen. We've continued to live together and manage our situations. And now, this issue of our rural populace not being able to go to the farm is being translated. That's why I said they are preying on our emotions, on our sentiments. It's being translated into religiosity, ethnicity, and all that because they know it's a weakness. But that is also our strength, like the report said, our diversity. Now, if a rep killing, stealing, and kidnap in Maiduguri has the same meaning and same intent, same effect in Mina, in Port Harcourt, in Ibadan, and Enugu, there are no two meanings about it. This is pure criminality. And the issue here is that we, as opinion molders, as leaders, must learn to be conscious and careful of what we say. You don't react to issues based on, the emotions that come at that point. I lived in Ibadan. I also studied in Ibadan. Shesha is known as a place where the Northerners and the rest live. It's an area heavily inhabited by these people over the years. And they've always lived together. So this appears to me as a way of trying to stop our people from producing the food that we eat. And if that is the case, why should we, knowing fully well, because even if you go to Benue, it's also a question of going to the farm. You go to Plateau, going to the farm. What is happening here is somebody trying to frighten us, because rape is something that nobody wants to happen to his wife, sister, mother, or anybody. Kidnap is something that people are scared about. It has become commercialized, and the economic pressure coming from that is high, and in most cases, people lose lives. Killings that happens in the farms. So it's like there is a plan and a plot. And if you look at the system, whether in the southeast, south-south, southwest, northeast, northwest, north central, all the way systems of operation and actions, if you look at this, appears to be the same. So it is time for us. I appreciate and I want to thank the governors that have been moving about, as you put it, on diplomatic shuttle, trying to douse the tension. But I think it's time we also do something about the way our people use the social media. People just, even some go out of their way to get pictures of gory situation tales that happened somewhere else,
Congo,
and then put it up as things happening right now, and they'll be shouting and saying, this is happening in so-so place now, and what are they trying to prove? Violence does not do anyone good. Calling for people to go and fight each other wouldn't help, and unfortunately, Kingsley, you know the people that suffer these things, the innocent ones.
That's right.
So it's time for us to begin to discuss seriously. It's also time for us to begin. I'm happy you have two professors on this panel it's time for us to also begin to think of how to begin to teach and reorientate our people. It's time for us to also empower, equip the National Orientation Agency. They have offices in all the local government areas of this, to try and catch them young, going to schools, going to places, begin to disabuse the mind of our people. See, we work together, no problem. We do business together, no problem. It's only when somebody comes in between and puts one little spark, and then they use this ethnicity and religion, and then we make the mistake. That is something we must attend to. That is something we, at the level we are, the leadership and everybody must look at it. And the criminal elements should be given that treatment that is due and proper for them to run away from here or be forced to run away. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Chris Akmos, thank you for your opening comment. Let's now join Professor Umar Pati, Vice Chancellor, Federal University, Kashiri, Gombe State. He's joining us via Zoom. Professor Umar Pati, Dr. Chris described it as a systematic attack on our food security and a breakdown of security in Nigeria. As an expert in media and society, you know, we always say that in our diversity lies our strengths. Does that still hold in Nigeria with the tension gathering in all areas of the country?
Thank you very much, Jumai. I have no alternative than to agree with the distinguished former deputy governor that it seems there's a systematic attempt to dismember Nigeria through the usual ways of trying to promote rivalries, provoke the people, and use all sorts of means in order to cause this confusion. Look, you don't need to go to school to gradually see the build up to some of the things that have been happening in the country right now. Over the years, we have seen how politics become like an instrument for division instead of uniting the people. We have seen how communication, language of people has been gradually becoming poisonous, and a lot of other things that have gradually been segmenting the people and poisoning the minds of individuals. Most importantly, these build-up that I've talked about has been compounded with the, well, we say cheap availability of the internet to majority of our people, who sometimes are misdirected in its usage. Some of our individuals, for whatever reasons, decide to use the social media, which is enabled by the internet, for negative reasons. And this has manifested in almost all aspects of our lives. The consequences, of course, in many cases are not positive. Some are negative. And why did I say so? You could see how the social media is being used to separate fake news, hate speech, dangerous speech, and a lot of things that are not correct, but not just only correct, but are dangerously separate to the extent that people who believe think they are correct. And why are these things possible? Number one, you have the internet, which is available to everybody. Number two, you have cheap Android phones, which most people can purchase, either Android or iPhone or whatever you call them. Then number three, you have cheap data. With cheap data, you can have access to a lot of individuals elsewhere. So by the time you do this, you could see two people have access to computers where they can manipulate photographs, they can write whatever they think, manufacture information of their own thinking, and then separate them all over the world. And a lot of our young people do not even know Nigeria very well. Just like the Honorable Deputy Governor said, our education has been so localized that we no longer mix very well We no longer travel as we should because either this of insecurity, the roads are not good, or for so many other reasons, life has become easy. So people have been so localized in their own provincial corners. And what they do is they sit and listen or receive information from alternative sources like the social media, information that are craftily manufactured with poisonous intentions in order to cause mischief in the general society. And many of our young people have become victims. They now have a belief that anybody who is outside of their own ethnic grouping is an enemy. Anybody who is not of their own religious grouping is an enemy. So these are the kind of pictures. In other words, we ethnicize our information that we distribute, we religionize, we provincialize, we politicize, and the total consequence is we weaponize all of this to the detriment of our collective existence as a people. And sometimes even our elders and politicians do not help matters. You have people that have benefited from the collective unity of Nigeria in the past. They now come out openly, confidently, and boldly in newspapers or on the social media or even on some of our regular radio and television stations and say things that are bare lies, that are incorrect, and also say things about ethnic groups that do not have facts on. And by the time you have a dangerous combination of some of these things, you have legitimacy coming from elders, you have a combination of the social media spreading information, you have populism politics, where politics of substance is not given attention. Rather, we go to mundane issues, and then you have a locally minded educational system where people do not mix. You have universities that are just local from the faculties to the students. You have primary schools where students do not mix. Poor children go to poorly branded primary schools, and the rich go to richly branded primary schools, the same thing to secondary schools, and even in the universities now. Or they go to religiously segmented schools. At the end of the day, people don't have boundaries. I mean, people don't cross their own boundaries. And in the civil service and in other areas where people are supposed to mix, you still have all these segmentations. So the whole country is being prepared for a big combustion if we do not take time to be very conscious of some of these things. Our policies, our constitutions, and our regulations have been beautifully designed to promote collective unity, ensure that people have psychological as well as physical feelings that they are Nigerians. But unfortunately, our elites and some of our politicians particularly are not helping matters. So we need to sit and take a good look and learn lessons from countries like Rwanda and Burundi.
Thank you very much, Professor Umaru Patu, for your opening comments. Let's also bring in now Professor Ushita, whom we earlier introduced. Professor Ushita, I was asking, look, the examples are many of how every day you find Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, even well-to-do Nigerians, going to school together, eating together, doing business together. It's often said that the big Nigerians from different ethnic and religious backgrounds often do not quarrel when they have contract deals to make. But there's always a tinderbox. Some little quarrel between Jumai and I, for instance, now becomes a big conflagration. What are the fundamental issues at play here, in your opinion?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Although I must confess that the audio is very faint in Calabar, where I am. I will try to respond to part of what I heard from your question. What are the issues that we must attend to that are responsible for the disunity that is building up in the country? First of all, let me say that for some time, Nigerians who hitherto used to socialize authentically among themselves across ethnic groups have been, due to a number of things, been gradually becoming emotionally distanced from each other. this is an era of COVID-19. We talk about social distancing. Whereas we have been interacting among ourselves, but emotionally, there has been some distance that has been created over time. And that has, increased the distrust among the various groups. My thinking is that in going into the free state that we are as a democracy, I think that we needed, to maintain some elements of a state that is strong. And please remember, I am not saying a government that is strong. I'm saying a state that is strong. They are very different. Now, if a state is strong, its institutions will be able to manage, issues of deliberate mischief that will amount to people from different, orientations becoming suspicious of one another, and some deliberately trying to create, trouble in the system. The state would have institutions that will manage all of this, and the government will just be, be trying to plug the holes here and there. But I see that we, in an attempt to rush into the free state, of the democratic liberal world, we have let it so loose that even state institutions cannot deal with, discontents of the society in a way, to deal with issues that can, cause an implosion in the system. Like the other speakers have said, I like the analysis that they have put forward. We see gradually this build-up is such that, for me, as one born around, I was a young chap during the Civil War, but I noticed a lot of things. So I have already a sense of deja vu, because some of the things that happened in the past are the things that are repeating themselves. And they are building up because of the free internet, as Professor Pate has said. They are building up, at a speed and on a scale that we never saw before. So the free fall may be a lot more dangerous now because of this additional tool in the hands of, individuals that they use, to fuel distrust, to fuel anger in other people. Like Professor Pate said, some of the pictures I see on WhatsApp, for instance, are not pictures even from Nigeria, but they are calculated, to cause what has happened elsewhere in Nigeria. Some years back, we did an analysis and we were saying that the road we are going it looks like the road to Somalia. And I think that we have not been disproved by what is happening. So for me, ordinary Nigerians are still very much, with one another. But there are elements that are political, elements that are tended towards, dismantling of the system, and elements that are dissatisfied and disgruntled for different reasons that are fueling these things. Some of them are invisible hands. Those who just forward, the WhatsApp messages are just tools in the hands of these invisible hands. But the question I will ask is, as a Nigerian, what do we gain by breaking this country? Countries that have broken up have not fared better. So which is the lesson that we are learning from those countries? Is it that we are happy to be worse off as those other countries? So I think that we need to come, back to our senses and begin to look at our country as the only country we have. A majority of us don't have dual citizenship anywhere. So where do we go? So I think dousing the ethnic tension in the country requires the effort of every one of us. But as I said, the internet is a very, very positive, technological development. Nigerians can use it for development. Nigerians can use it for unity. rather than trying to use, social media, to create disunity and to, create tension that we tend to see, make people feel as if they are against each other. So long and short of it, we need to come back to our senses. But then there is also a responsibility. What are the expectations of the various parts of this country? What are their challenges? What do they want to see their government do? So that we can all, be on the same path. People are calling for different things. Can we have a dialogue and agree? Because the absence of a dialogue means that we create subunits of, mobilizations that will be going against the national interest. And I don't think that that is in our interest. So if rather than have people on the sidelines, creating their own comfortable agendas, let us, try to build a national agenda and understand ourselves. This is a great country. Whatever anyone says, Nigeria is a great country and we have a great future if we adjust, the way we engage in the public domain.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Osita. And let's now join Malam Ali in Kaduna. They say since the Civil War, there has never been this kind of tension in this country, and the loss of lives, and ethnic champions waking up one morning to just issue ultimatums, telling people to move from one area to the other. Professor Osita has said we need a dialogue and a national agenda. Do you think it will pave way for peace in this country?
Ethnic and religious tension that has been building up over time is a very serious challenge to our national security. But permit me to say, building peace through religious and ethnic harmony is one of the most important projects of this moment. Leaders from all across the divide need to come together and speak to their respective followership in order to embrace one another with a view to living together in peace and in harmony, regardless of the differences in ethnicity and diversity and religion. Because people who are preaching hate as a result of religious or ethnic differences do not mean well for this country. And questions we need to ask ourselves: have our ancestors who have lived in this entity called Nigeria, have they ever lived in peace with one another before us? Have they intermarried amongst themselves in spite of the differences in religion and ethnicity? If the answer is yes, then what is wrong with us? Why are we fighting one another? Although it is to be expected, because the year 2023 is around the corner, political pundits who feel they have to fan the embers of ethnic and religious differences before they can make it politically, trying to do what they know best, that is divide and rule. Divide the people along ethnic or religious lines in order to win elections. I think that is not good for us. And mark you, sometimes in the year 2000, the then National Security Advisor of the U.S., John Negroponte, did predicted that by the year 2015, Nigeria will disintegrate. By the special grace of God, here we are intact and waxing stronger. But certain failed minds amongst us are doing what is currently happening with a view to bringing problems. We need to understand that since we are running a democracy, democracy is a game of number. It is only when you are able to win, and by majority votes, that you become a leader, whether a governor, a senator, or a president. So for people who are already advocating that it's our turn, I think that is really, really wrong. And these, I think, are some of the issues that are building this tension we are seeing. And certain people are out there manipulating religious differences with a view to reaching their desired goals. And of course, we have also a crop of Nigerians who have benefited from the benevolence of Nigeria, these are the same people that are have today ganged up in order to cause problem for this country. So I want to use this opportunity to appeal to Nigerians. We must not allow ourselves to be manipulated or to be set against one another because of our differences in religion or ethnicity. Nigeria belongs to all of us. And we must also understand that peace has no religion or ethnicity. Peace is a universal thing. So we must all embrace peace regardless of our ethnic or religious differences so that together we'll be able to build a very real and better Nigeria for generations yet unborn.
All right. Thank you very much, Muhammad Ali, there for your opening comment. I want to return to Professor Maru Pate. Professor Maru Pate is still with us via Zoom from Gombe State. Professor Pate, Professor Oshita talked about emotional distance. And we can almost step back and look at some of the issues that have sometimes engaged us in Nigeria. From time to time, we do get to hear about the indigenship question. So who is an indigene, who is a non-indigene? In a sense, that's also part of the ethnic conflicts that we are having. And despite references to Chapter 3 of the Constitution, that those provisions there that deal with citizenship, you still find that in practice, these ethnic practices continue to endure. It is said that in some parts of the country, non-indigenous often do not get access to land for development or for their businesses. In some parts of the country, you also find that whereas in the past you used to have judges, from different parts of the country being posted or being appointed in other parts other than their states of origin or regions of origin. But today, to become a chief judge, if you are not an indigene of that state, is hell. We saw the recent example in Cross River. And of course, if you are in the academia, to become a head of department, to be a dean, and sometimes even a vice chancellor, if you are not from that particular locality, it is a tug of war. What are we dealing with here? Who are those behind all of these ideas that are undermining our sense of unity, our sense of Nigerianness, and instead pushing us back into our various ethnic cleavages?
Thank you very much. You see, I share the sentiments you have expressed. 60 years after Nigeria's independence, one would have thought that by now we should not be talking about bringing our country together, about national unity, about national integration. Rather, we should be focusing on how we can refine our policies, ensure that Nigeria is technologically developed, and we have a very beautiful country. Maybe talking about defense policies, talking about our external affairs policies, how we can relate with other nations, how to ensure that our technology is beautiful and we can also export. Unfortunately, we are still at the base. We are still at the lowest ebb of the societal ladder, trying to even talk about who is a Nigerian, trying to address the issues of identity, and trying to talk about the basis of national unity and national integration. Honestly, it's saddening, it's frightening, and we need to be more somber so that we could sit down and then understand these issues. Yes, you have states where people are still talking about, almost everywhere, people are still emphasizing the issue of indigeneity in almost everything, particularly when it comes to issue of access to resources, access to positions, and then having the feeling that I must be in control. And wherever you have this, certainly the country will have a problem. There are some realities that many of us are still trying to maybe deny in the Nigerian context. That one, Nigeria is a multicultural nation. This one is a reality. Nigeria is multi-religious. Nigeria is plural. Nigeria is diverse. And if we agree on this, certainly our policies, our actions, and our behaviors must take all these sensitivities into consideration. However, we have our elites, unfortunately, who are yet to have a complete understanding of the Nigerian nation and who are also willing to sacrifice and offer the required leadership for the society to move as a collective unity in diversity. And you could see how we now criminalize indigeneity. We now we ethnicize criminality. We ethnicize almost everything. And what are the consequences? People feel that they should also run back to their own locations and become champions, and at the end of the day be fighting the other groups. A nation cannot grow along such a line. And I feel all of these are aspects of lack of good governance. If you have the kind of governance that will galvanize people and bring them together, then some of these frustrations that you see people disseminating through violence, you see people engaging in acts of criminality, you see people seeing the other fellow as a criminal, I think will be less. And our elites, I will still blame all of us, the elite groupings, the various elites. We have failed to give the required leadership. In the past, it was there. When states were created in 1967, it was thought that that will give or will douse the tension that the civil war was about to, the country was prepared for civil war. Then in 1975, again, more states were created, and on and on and on until we got 36 states. Then local governments. So every day, people are asking for balkanization so that they could also have their own provinces where they could become champions. I agree that I think we need to copy what is happening elsewhere. In Europe, they are talking about integration. Look at how the countries are increasingly deleting their borders in several areas. So, and for you to get this unity, the first border that you have to delete is from the psychology of the people. To have a feeling that I am not so and so, I am not so and so, first of all, I'm a Nigerian. And if I'm a Nigerian, it means I have to agree and tolerate what it will take to be a Nigerian and for Nigeria to exist. But if people still feel that, number one, they are of their own ethnic groupings, they are of their own religious groupings, and Nigeria is a distant third or fourth, then certainly we are going to continue to have problems. But my own feeling is that there are a number of structures we have. If they are well utilized and we strengthen some of these institutions and improve the quality of governance, and our elites agree that democracy is not simply capturing and retaining offices, but there are also the principles and discipline of being democratic. And if we agree on that, certainly we will know how to address some of the other issues that we have talked about. But the first one, of course, is good governance. Good governance, I will still repeat it. We need to emphasize on that.
Professor Patti, do you think that politics is playing a role in rising tension, in ethnic tension across the country? And do you think there's an inadequate support from governments for Nigerians when these things happen? Because as a mass communicator, we're taught during crisis management that there's no insurgency or criminality without shadow backers who fuel the crisis and, you know, take care of the foot soldiers. Do you think in any way that politics can, in its own way, try to inform and educate people that insurgency, ethnicity, and all that is not good for this country, and our politicians have a role to play?
Yes. You cannot run away from talking about politics. You see, look, Jumai, in every society, there are 5 groups of elites. You have the political elite, the military elite, the bureaucratic elite, the intellectual elite, the business elite. And all of these elites are those that give direction and leadership to the rest of the society. Now, the political elites are those who coordinate and provide the required leadership for the rest of the groups to be in order so that the society could move. The political elite is supposed to have a vision of how they want the country to be, and the rest of us will now queue in and follow. But where you have the vision of the political elite being beclouded either by corruption or by some other sentiments, then the rest of the society will follow. So, and what is it in this country today that is not politicized? Mention it. Everything is politicized, and we waste a lot of time politicking instead of engaging in real governance and also this has permeated into almost every facet of our life. Our institutions have been affected. And naturally, this will translate into what people do and what people say. And the social media or the conventional media reflect the sentiments and the thinking of these elites. So where you have a governor, for example, talking about dividing his own community on the basis of ethnicity, then certainly you know that there's a problem. And what do you expect the rest of the institutions in that society and the other people to do? They will take you. And when they take you, that perceived group, which has been criminally categorized, will now become the victim. And you could see it happening. The early warning signs are all over Nigeria. And it is the responsibility of our elites to now understand the situation, take the bull by the horn, and then lead us. There could only be politics if there is Nigeria. If the country is dismembered like what we are seeing in Somalia or some other places, then certainly there will be no Nigeria for even people to aspire to become governors, leaders, or whatever. So we need to address that. And you could see, like my very good friend earlier said, that it has permeated to even in our own educational institutions to the extent that when results are released, people start associating the indigenship of the lecturer with that of the students who scored what. It has gone that bad. So we need to retrace our steps. And Nigeria, like Professor Shida said, is a very beautiful country, well endowed. Everything we need is in this country. It's now for us to use our heads, think well, and then bring the nation into a properly ordered manner in such a way that we could join the Committee of Nations and benefit from the technological development that the whole world is benefiting from.
Professor Umaru Pate, thank you very much there for your insight. Let's return to Abuja Studios, Dr. Chris Akumas, former Deputy Governor of Abia. Earlier in your opening statement, you said, among other prescriptions, that we would need a reorientation, in particular to catch them young, so that the whole idea of the emotional distance to which Professor Oshita referred to could be breached, and then we all see ourselves as human beings, as Nigerians. But the many examples of crass ethnicity, such as we itemized and Professor Umaru Pate has also explained, these are everyday realities. I'm sure you know this, that apart from the examples that I cited, in some parts of the country, if you are not a native, as it is said, you cannot become a permanent secretary. In some secondary schools, you cannot even become a principal. These are daily, and the person who experiences that, what kind of reorientation do you want the individual to take and then to transmit to his or her children? But of course, again, we bring in the elite question, because these are practices that are fostered by the elite class. What do we need to do? Because the headwinds are there, and we can see very strongly that we're in a turbulent state.
Thank you very much. When you asked Professor Pate the questions and Jumai followed, I was really enjoying the analysis. We must start from somewhere. Today, we make reference to Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Alhaji Ahmadu Bello, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, our own dear Tafawa Balewa, and a host of others. Enahoro and others. These are our elders of blessed memory who worked together for common interest of what we know, have, and call Nigeria our country. It wasn't that there were no differences. It was because they genuinely loved the country and they worked towards a country that respects each other. a country where Ahmad Bello recognizes that Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Tafawa Balewa, and others are important in the progress. They worked together, understanding the shortcomings and weaknesses of each area, and they managed it via discussions. Discussions that were meaningful, discussions that had to do with give and take. We must deconstruct the mentality of they and us. Nativity is not only something that is referenced and made statement to in Nigeria, even in Canada, in the United States of America, and other places. You talk of Native Indians, Native Americans, you know, and so forth and so on. But it's just that we have taken it too far. We are not looking at it from the strength of this is what makes these people who they are. And these are their preferences, which we must recognize and respect. We have gone beyond that. Yes, you talked about who were the people then. It's the same people, same Nigerians. Where the man from Taraba will serve as the Surveyor General in Enugu. Where the man from Enugu will be the Chief Judge in Kaduna, and vice versa, and all the places. These were Nigerians. We are still Nigerians. Politics, yes. I'm happy Professor Peter mentioned it because I was waiting for that. Everybody talks about politicians doing this, doing that. Who are the people that encourages and supports them? Politicians come very soon. They made reference to 2023 is around the corner. When it's time for campaign, Nigerians will prefer to listen to abuses, insults, personal attacks than vision. People campaign not presenting issues. Even sometimes you see presidential campaigns, nobody will be talking about foreign policies, this and that. It will be this person is that person is that. And look at what is happening today. We have security problem in our hands. It is not localized in any particular part of the country. But when something happens and lives are lost, the sanctity of life, the importance of life, people will not even address that first. The first thing is because of this, is because of that. Trying to make political capital out of it. That is part of our problem. Yes, you play your politics. But first, remember that you are able and will be able to lead if there's a place where peace reigns and exists. I love what President Biden said, just as the former president, Trump, was acquitted. He said that democracy is fragile and must be managed and cared and protected. We have to protect our country, protect the system. I said we must reorientate. That is, we start with the deconstruction of the mentality. We have mental image of Kingsley from Edo State, Chris Akomas from Abia, Jumai from... There is that mentality. Once you say Hausa, Yoruba, there is a mentality created by our own people. And that was where I said it was not created with positiveness. That's right. It was created with negative, thinking and connotation. So people grow up, but when you go out, you see that what you were told is not. What if you don't go?
It's just like racism.
Yes. What if you don't go out like Professor Pate said? There are people, I used to crack jokes with some of my friends. I will say, Abadina Primary, Abadina Secondary, Abadina University of Ibadan. You get job in UI. You are also working in UI. You become a professor in UI. So it's like what happens when you talk of even this religion that we are all thinking of. If you read some scriptures, those that were inspired spiritually, the world they saw was around them. We have Egypt and few places. Look at how long Benin Empire and how well organized. Did you see it anywhere? So why are we killing ourselves? We should come home and begin to deconstruct this mentality. That's one. Two, we should also take responsibility as leaders. As you know, leadership has different structures. At all the levels, we should begin to take responsibility to first work on ourselves, disabuse our minds, and then that of our children. Let's start from the family unit and let them know the importance of working with each other, relating with each other. That's why you see people get a job, they come to the place with preconceived hatred. They come, they just see you. Oh, this man is, Juma is from us. I don't like her. Just because of what they were told or what they had. Oh, Kingsley, no. Professor Pate is the visa. He's visa. Nobody is looking at what that person is offering.
Has to offer.
What you have to offer. And that is why I have consistently said our recruitment process has gone haywire. Those that have something to offer find it difficult to even get into the places where they should. Because they'll be talking of issues, they'll be presenting things that we have to do, how to go. Others will be busy abusing, insulting, assaulting, and you see people jumping and hailing those people. Is that the way to go? Again, we have to watch the kind of words we even utter. Not only outside, but within the family. What do you teach your children?
That's right.
Are you positive about yourself and your family? And by extension, being positive about your neighbor? Because we have to be positive. Then when few negative things come, you'll be in a better frame of mind to manage it. But what we see now is that, like, Asa people are there. Oh, that is it. Igbo people are there. Oh, that is it. That person is there. You know, there is this thing constructed over the years. And this security problem, we are beginning to make the mistake of thinking that it is a present problem. This is a problem that has been with us.
Just been accumulating.
Yes, I'm happy Professor Pate, Professor Shita said it. It has been there, building up. And then this new system, that's why I started by saying, let the experts think about it. This new system started with what was happening in the Northeast. Then banditry has no different meaning anywhere. So criminality is the issue here. How do we fight this? How do we? But we must come together. We must agree that the issue here is not ethnic A or ethnic B. That we have a problem, a common problem, and what we must do is to ensure that we work together to ensure, get that peace. And getting that peace, I repeat, is that criminal action requires the necessary consequence for that criminality. And if we begin to take those steps, we should not perpetrate, we should not try to pamper anybody, no matter who is there. And let me tell you, these kind of actions appear to me to be well organized. And because it's organized, there must be people behind it. And if somebody doesn't like Kingsley as a leader, is that enough reason to put the whole country on fire? If somebody doesn't like Chris Akomas as a person, is that enough reason to put the environment into disarray? My people say, when you throw a stone into the market, you don't know who is going to hit.
That's right.
It may hit your own person. It is time for Nigerians to stop doing this. And every action, every step that we must take to diffuse this tension and work together and try to reorganize ourselves is necessary. Yeah. And let me say, sir, sorry. You know, talking about numbers, talking about that in democracy, there is something that goes with sense of belonging. It was what our forebearers showed us when Nnamdi Azikiwe had to be the president ceremonial, and Tafawa Balewa had to be. Ahmad Bello could have said, I'll be president, but he remained in the region. Awolowo remained in. And all these people, because they knew when people feel that they are part of a thing, they do something special.
Yeah, Dr. Akomas, thank you very much. Jumai, just before you pop your question to Ushita, which is probably what explains our current circumstance and what we need to deal with, and the various suggestions that you, the guests, are making today are to be appreciated. The admonition you referred to, Dr. Akomas, that in the past you were told, or we were told, that, look, be wary of casting a stone into a marketplace because you do not know whom the stone will hit. Today, it appears that the instigators of the stone throwers, I say, listen, throw that stone into the marketplace. If it hits any person, including my own person, we will take the person to the hospital to go and treat.
Okay, let's join Professor Sita. You know, Professor Umar Pate said that we have locally minded educational system. And as somebody in the Center for Africa Peace Building and Development, the NYSC was created to integrate Nigerians across religion, ethnicity, tribe, language, and all that. I, as a person, usually tell people when they ask me, where are you from? And I tell them I'm a Nigerian. And they think it's rude because first and foremost, I'm a Nigerian before I become any tribe. You know, and how do we look at it holistically, you know, trying to stop this ethnic profiling that is sort of stuck into our brain in Nigeria?
Well, thank you. I had only a slice of what the joke that Kingsley made about throwing a stone into the marketplace, and then the question you just asked. I heard the bit about the NYSC and 7. So I will try to put these pieces together and see what I can make of the bad audio here. Yes, I agree with Kingsley that yes, when you throw a stone in the marketplace, you don't know who it will hit. Maybe when you left the house or when you moved to the location you were throwing the stone, your mother had just rushed to the market, and then you end up hearing that it's your mother that was hit. That's where we are. But talking about the NYSC, the NYSC was a wonderful tool. I say was a wonderful tool because I don't know if it still is now. For those of us who did NYSC properly, without going to ask that they should send you in your preferred location, we still reap the benefit of that service till today. A guy from Damaturu and I served in Janiki at the College of Education. Till today, we are very good friends. We are very, very good friends. And I think that is one of the things that we ought to get from the NYSC. But let me add this point, that we have a number of contradictions that are pulling us away from, uniting. For example, I do not understand, in spite of the researches that have been conducted on the issue of citizenship and indigeneity, and the fact that residency will be the best glue, the best cement that will put us together in terms of, being one Nigeria. That requirement for residency should be the basis, for citizenship in this country. We have conducted some studies, and it points to that. But I don't know why the institutions of this country have not given attention to the issue of residency. If you live in a place for up to, we can say, 5 years or 10 years, you are entitled to everything that happens there. That's one way that we can bring ourselves together and ensure that, people don't remain attached, to their where exactly they come from. We have children today who don't know the states they belong. I asked some young people, and they said, my father said I'm from Anambra, but I am from Kaduna anyway. Yeah, but that is the way, because he doesn't know Anambra. He was born in Kaduna. He has been doing everything in Kaduna. He's an adult, and his father keeps telling him he's from Anambra, because when he goes to school, they ask him, which state are you from? And they deny him the fact that he was born there and it's over 30 years that he's from Kaduna. So it applies to other parts of the country. So I believe that we should give a serious thought to the issue of residency as a basis for citizenship. So, and then the other thing I would like to say is that we cannot move forward if we don't clean up the mess that happens. Architects of violence, architects of violent conflict are not sanctioned in this country. Once they do whatever they do, soon they will be let free. Nothing happens to them. So in that sense, violence has become a business. And if we make violence a business model, then we are destroying ourselves. That is the path to self-destruction. You can just think how many inquiries have been conducted in the past over violence in this place, that place. How many of them were implemented, that the reports were implemented? Even the white papers are trashed. So we can't move on like this. What we are saying by moving on like this is to tell people that, look, it is good to do what you're doing. Keep doing it. It's like giving thumbs up to people who are violent and who live by violence. Any economy where violence becomes a business model is moving towards self-destruction. And I think that, like Professor Pate said, when he mentioned the various categories of elites, let me shock you, and I'm sure you are a scholar yourself, that all those groups that you have mentioned, the political, the business, the military, the bureaucratic, and all that, they all meet in the business, because running governance in this country is a kind of business. They all meet there. The politician is negotiating contracts. All of them are negotiating contracts here and there, contracts that are not done properly. And so corruption becomes a driver of the disunity that we have. Upate, you know how we analyze these things. They are connected. So we must clean our system so that we ensure that we can unite. If we don't do that, we'll continue to look at it from the self-interest point of view. People don't want to do certain things because if they do it, they will not get the business that they are looking forward to getting. And so the rest of us will just sit there and be thinking that, okay, it will get better one day. I think we need to be more serious than this. Our country is seriously in danger, and I believe that we can all work together to salvage this country. I see us, never before have we been on the precipice as we are now. And we always say that when we get to the precipice, the Nigerian formula is that, it never happens, we come back. But you see, when a hunter's dog is not hearing the hunter's whistle, it means that the dog has decided that it's determined that it will get lost. Okay. And so we should ourselves. We love this country. Let us preserve Nigeria and help Africa and help the world.
Thank you very much, Professor Oshita, for that admonition. We're going to have to take a short break now. When we return from the break, we'll return to Muhammad Ali and then also attempt to take some of the tweets that have come in. Just by way of illustration, Joanne, before we go on this break. Professor Oshita was talking about some persons not knowing exactly where they come from. Oh, my parents tell me that I'm from Anambra, but I'm based in Kaduna. Last year, President Muhammadu Buhari sent a list of ambassadorial nominees to the National Assembly. And I'm sure we are all familiar with one of the issues that arose. A female nominee on that list from a different state, but married from another state. The argument then was, oh, no, she cannot take the slot allotted for the state into which she married. That apparently said, go back to your state of origin or state of birth.
Yeah, most of us who grew up, especially in other states other than ours, can't trace our way back. And where we were born and grown up, brought up, don't consider us indigents. And it's
so
painful.
Was it at the point of her appointment or nomination as a ministerial ambassador, or sorry, as an ambassador, that you were now seeking to divorce
That's
the
when
couple?
they tell you where your father and mother came from. Well, we'll take a break right now. When we return, the conversation continues.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
A new edition of TV Guide is out with special focus on the game changer, His Excellency Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State. Broadcasting in a digital economy, Maxwell Logo gives an insight. This edition also features Nancy Naji of AIT, a name synonymous with business. Meet the NCDC boss, Dr. Chikwe Ihekweazu. TV Guide, your indispensable companion, also x-rays the relevance of social media in the modern society. Meet some TV professionals who have impacted their spaces and other inspiring stories in sports, entertainment, and lots more. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Dialogue, empathy, love, and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
For all to be well, we appeal that we should refrain from volatile, provocative, inciting messages and language.
Let's build and not destroy.
The broadcast media ecosystem is dynamic and requires continuous training for practitioners to perform optimally. NTA TV College JOS invites relevant officers to the following specially packaged training programs. Intermediate online news reporting skills. Date 1st March to 12th March 2021. 2 weeks. Studio lighting indoor and outdoor. Date 1st March to 5th March 2021. 1 week. Modern trends in broadcast media marketing. Date 15th March to 9th April 2021. 4 weeks. Understanding public service rules and mastering the art of standard minute writing, reports, memoranda, and briefs. Date 15th February to 12th March 2021. 4 weeks. The course fee for the 4-week courses is 100,000 naira per participant. The fee for the 2-week course is 80,000 naira, while the course fee for the 1-week course is 40,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all the courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos. Training you to be the best you want to be.
All right, you're welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Let's go over to our Kaduna Network Center one more time and bring in Muhammad Ali into the conversation. Muhammad Ali, one issue relating to the observance of rule of law, which is a critical adjunct of good governance. It's a point that both Professor Umaru Pate and Professor Oshita have talked about. It appears that once we have these urges of violence sparked off by ethnic or religious differences, the victims, whether private or public, are allowed to lick their wounds. Again, we have the ritual of setting up panels of inquiry, and nobody appears ever to get punished or sanctioned by the law. This has given rise to impunity, to audacity, and again another cycle of reprisals. How do we get out of this?
Certainly we can get out of this if we try to amend or break away from our weak criminal justice system. The problem is the absence of proper law that will certainly deal with violators. Because, like you rightly said, we have had cases of communal or religious crisis or ethnic crisis. Commissions of inquiry were set up. They sat down months after, prepared and submit reports. White papers in some instances were also produced, but nothing is implemented out of that. And I think this is what is encouraging and giving people the audacity to do what they are doing, because they feel, and strongly too, that they can do as they wish and go unpunished. But if people are really punished for the wrongs they commit, certainly that will serve as a deterrence to anybody wishing to take such a stand. So we have to resort back to our laws and ensure that we strengthen our criminal justice system in such a way that whoever does anything, no matter his standing, should be dealt with. Pure and simple. If that is done, people will begin to queue and do what is right, because nobody has any right to attack or take the life of another individual for reasons of differences in ethnicity or religion, or because of political differences. This, if we are able to do, certainly will begin to set standards, and people will begin to behave properly. But where people do things and they are not punished for one reason or the other, or because of they have somebody at the top, I think that will not all go well for us. Let whoever does anything that is wrong be made to face the wrath of the law. And let me also say this. The professor from Calabar did talked about somebody who grew up in Kaduna, and he was all along told he's from Kaduna, but later the father said he's from Anambra State. I wish to categorically state that 75% of buildings and shops on Ahmadu Bello Way, Kaduna, belongs to the Igbos. There is nothing as far as issues of discrimination in terms of religion or ethnicity. We don't practice that in Kaduna. We have people from other parts of, particularly from the southern part of this country, that are serving in the present government of Kaduna State. So Kaduna, if you like, can be referred to as a liberal state. Everybody is welcome. Kaduna is the second Nigeria. So Mr. Kingsley should come over. I will give him a plot of land for free to build house in Kaduna, live in Kaduna, and peacefully.
Muhammad Ali, especially as there are train services between Abuja and Kaduna, so I could live in Kaduna and then commute to Abuja. I hope I'm able to hit the studios before Good Morning Nigeria kicks off at 7 in the morning.
Yes, Kingsley, we have some tweets that came in, and let's just take them quickly. Suleiman Babagana: ethnic tensions can be mitigated if Nigerians understand the strength in their diversity at a particular location and try to accommodate peace-loving non-indigenes for economic prosperity and social stability. We are trying to do away with this indigenization in this country.
That's right.
Kingsley, yeah.
That's right. Chris Simeon: it's unfortunate that the ethnic tensions and crises that disrupt some parts of the country show that we are not yet one fully. Let's come together and put our house in order.
And Orogbangba 2020, the ethnic tensions in Nigeria is as a result of lack of love. If there is love, there won't be any need for retaliation. Please, let's love one another in this country. Let's see ourselves as brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Ahmed Mohammed, Nigerians should know that we need each other to survive. The North depends on the South, and vice versa. Our unity is paramount if we really want to develop as a nation.
And okay, we have Ayub Alak and Asa, Festus Akimboyewa, Badomasi Haruna Adamu, Hanyo Terdio, Bello Muhammad, Ibrahim Tuduwan, Mutana Farouk. We all have your tweets, and I believe you all have.
Yeah, but Chuma, I know that just before we know that we are getting pressed for time. Bello Muhammad, the unguarded utterances of some of our leaders are the remote and immediate causes of ethnic and religious crisis. Injustice is another factor. Our leaders should guard their utterances and do justice to all.
Okay, Dr. Akwamas, let's come back to you briefly before we go. Yes, okay, they say we're running out of time. We really have to go. Yes. So, what next do we take? We have sports updates?
Yeah, before sports update, we have to appreciate our guest, Jumai. Okay, of course, it's a subject matter that we're going to have to return to, considering the perspectives that have been outlined by our guests this morning. Dr. Chris Akwamas, former Deputy Governor of Abia State, a regular guest on Good Morning Nigeria, deep thanks to you for being around today.
Thank you.
From our Kaduna Network Center, we'd like to appreciate Muhammad Ali, security expert and former member of the State House of Assembly. Thanks a lot for the offer of land, but I know that you don't issue CFO. That will be El-Rufai's business. Thanks a lot for being with us this morning. And then from Gombe, that's Vice Chancellor of Federal University, Kashire. Deep thanks to our regular guest, also on Good Morning Nigeria, Professor Umaru Pate. And our appreciation too to Professor Oshita, who joined us via Zoom from Calabar. Gentlemen, thanks a lot for being with us on Good Morning Nigeria. All right, Jumai?
Yes, and that's Good Morning Nigeria. Join us tomorrow for another edition. I am Juma Yusuf.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. Remember, stay safe and be well.
NTA Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educative and interactive on national issues, accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.
She cries. She cries in anguish and in pain. She bears the scourge of her grief. She toils in vain for justice and succumbs to silence. He gloats over his malady. Like a beast, he pounces with no remorse. Her cry means nothing. Her pain feeds her shame. Like an orphan, she's left to grieve in solitude. But no more will she cry in vain. Her adversaries will henceforth bear the brunt of their cruelty. Rape is evil. Rape is a plague, a pandemic of monumental consequences. We must unite and kick it out of our society.
Connect with NTA and stand against rape and rapists. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Anybody who is exposed can contract coronavirus, but not everybody has a fair chance of surviving the disease. Data has shown that older persons stand a higher risk of dying. Are you 55 years and above? Do you have pre-existing health conditions? Please safeguard yourself and minimize your risk. Observe all COVID-19 protocols.
If you hear of anyone with high fever, dry cough, and difficulty in breathing, please do not go near such a person because they could be a victim of coronavirus infection. Call someone else or the NCDC to assist. Please use your prescribed medications regularly. Exercise around your home and eat well so that you can remain healthy and strong. For an older adult, to beat coronavirus is not to contract it at all.
This message is brought to you by Gerontology Association of Nigeria, the Geriatrics Association of Nigeria, and Dave Mokoro Foundation in conjunction with the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello to you out there and welcome to Sports Reel here on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I'm Ayodeji Makinde. Well, the CAF Confederation Cup playoff run between Enyimba and Rivers United ended in favor of Enyimba. And of course, the People's Elephants are still basking in the euphoria, but it's temporal for now because they have a return leg to play in the next few days. It's also another match day of the UEFA Champions League, and the big teams are already getting ready for the round of 16. Let's not forget on the program today, golf sixes, as well as titbits. These and more. Let's go for a break. When we return, Sports Reel begins. You're welcome back. The COVID-19 has no doubt posed a major challenge to national football team events worldwide. Now, the Nigeria Football Federation sometimes in 2020 said it would do everything possible to ensure that the Super Falcons of Nigeria get enough invitational tournaments to participate and keep themselves in shape in the year 2021. Little wonder the team right now is in Turkey ahead of the 8-team invitational tournament in that country, and they are already set to go because they shall be playing against CSKA Moscow women's team on Thursday. Let's move on from the Super Falcons and tell you that the coach of Enyimba International of Abafatai Osho says his team will move on from that encounter against Rivers United in the CAF Confederation Cup playoff round that was decided at the Enyimba International Stadium on Sunday. Enyimba won the match by 1-0, but they have to cope without a particular player. That's talking about Tosin Omoyele, who was red-carded in that encounter and is a key player for the team. Now, let's take a look at excerpts from that particular encounter and come back and talk more with an Abuja-based coach who is also the coach of the future Eagles of Nigeria, talking about Haruna Ilirika.
Nah, I wouldn't have taken Agudo off. Agudo could be dangerous at any point in time. I would have kept him on.
They continue to Hans. And that opportunity can come. The flag stays down. This should be it. And indeed it is it. Enyimba International get something. And it's Cyril Olisama with the celebration that signifies.
Was able to make it count. Anayo Iwala was in his way, stayed on his feet, despite the fact that he was tackled lots of time, found Cyril Olusema, and the flag did stay down. The Rivers United players were trying to signal the referee, telling him it was an offside position.
Coach Haruna Ilerica is a football coach here in the Federal Capital Territory and also an assistant, the head coach of the future Eagles of Nigeria, someone who really knows when it comes to developing players and also the philosophy of club sides in the Nigeria Professional Football League. You're welcome to the program. How impressed were you by the quality of the match that you saw on Sunday between Enyimba International of Aba and Rivers United?
Well, I think it was a very good match. Despite the heavy downpour that almost marred the match, but we thank God the game ended. It was a match that has generated a lot of tension, a lot of anxieties among the two, the fans of the two teams. And like you know, they are two big, one of the two biggest clubs in Nigeria, Enyimba, with a track record of being 2 times CAF Champions League winner, playing against the Rivers United that is doing well at the Confederation Cup at the moment. Enyimba came from the CAF Champions League to come and slope down to Confederation Cup. You know, at the 9th minute there was a heavy downpour and the referee signal for the stop of the game, and we were thinking probably the game will not continue, not until the rain subsided and the game continued. What we saw in the game was a good artistry display of talent from Nigerian players. It was an organized football culture of the two sides. You know, Rivers has something good going on for them. The governor said win Enyimba at home and get 20 million. There's nobody that will hear that kind of news that will not want to die on the field, because you know that as a player probably you might be going home with about £1 million no matter how it's shared. And it was a very good motivation for the team, but eventually they lost by a long goal. On the part of Enyimba, they have a lot at stake. They cannot mess up at the Champions League and at the same time now come to Confederations Cup to come and lose carelessly. Not even in Aba, no, in Port Harcourt. In Aba, it will be very difficult. What is home advantage? Home advantage is your pitch. Home advantage is your fans. Home advantage is the scenario of the environment where you are playing. So I don't expect Rivers to maximize anything in Aba.
Now, we saw that one, and one painful thing for Fatai Osho and Enyimba International is Tosin Omoyele was red-carded in that encounter for retaliation in the closing stages of that match, so he will be unavailable for the return leg, which we expect to see in the next few days. That will be in Port Harcourt. Now, going into that particular one, if 20 million naira was promised as motivation for the players to go to Aba and win, only heavens know what will be done for them to get into the next round when they come to Port Harcourt to play.
You might not be able to get 20 million in Port Harcourt. Going away, the governor wants a motivation of going there, a ground where they know that possibly nothing is impossible. He wanted them to do something magical. That was why he said 20 million. But he knows that back in Port Harcourt, they may be contented, they may increase their winning bonus, but they should be contented with little because they have a lot of things going on for them. The fans, the field, the support from the state government and every other paraphernalia that has to do with Rivers United. So to me, they just have to wake up their game, play the way they have been playing in the CAF Confederations Cup, and I want to believe they can get their win over Enyimba in Port Harcourt.
How do you describe the whole scenario of being able to watch a continental football on terrestrial television in the country again?
It's a very big plus. We have to give kudos to the Nigerian Television Authority for bringing it to the attention of Nigerians. You know, without airing the match on TV, there is no way Nigerian can actually know what is going on. You saw the last CHAN. How many people, CHAN ended just from a few days ago. How many people know that there was CHAN? Because there was no TV. So you have opportunity to be able to see what is your own on TV. Even the players, the marketing value of the player, it is through this television of a team that other countries can watch them. Even their projection to Super Eagle, it is through television. People can say, oh, so number, jersey number is a very, like Omoyele now. Me and you know that, yes, a very fantastic player. But he's doing that now to to the public. People are beginning to see him on TV. People are beginning to appreciate that, oh, see this fine player. By the time they see him adorning Eagles jersey one day, everybody will say, yes, he deserves it. But it's different from an area where they will just give a lineup or make a team list of those that are invited for either Chan or Super Eagle or even under 20. And people will say, who is he, from where? But now we are beginning to see, week in, week out, players of Nigeria playing on the TV, of Nigeria playing league on TV, continental competition on television, and we are watching them. It gives us opportunity to assess our players. It gives us opportunity to assess our team. It gives even their fan back home opportunity to be able to sit down and see the lies some of these clubs comes to tell them. Oh, they robbed us at the way. They gave them 5 penalties. They do this, they do that. A match that is live, when you come back and tell them, they'll be able to give an first-hand assessment of the team to you as a coach.
Well, so it's thumbs up and credit, of course, to the Nigeria Professional Football League, the League Management Company, and the Nigerian Television Authority for bringing these matches to the doorsteps of all Nigerians who have a television at home. Let's thank Coach Haruna Ilerica for coming on Sports View today. We always appreciate you for your time.
Thank you very much. We are always there at your service. Anytime you call us, we don't have choice but to report.
And of course, it's advantage Enyimba at the moment. Let's see what Rivers United will be able to do in the return leg. It's Stanley Iguma, the coach of Rivers United, against Fatai Osho in charge of Enyimba. Let's move on from the CAF Confederation Cup and also let you know that while the match between Enyimba International and Rivers United was ongoing, match day 10 of the Nigeria Professional Football League were also decided in different centers nationwide, and Kwara United are now sitting on top of the table because Enyimba, who are league leaders, could not play due to their engagement in the CAF Confederation Cup. And Kwara United beat Dakada FC by 3-0 with Wasiu Alalade scoring the first goal for them before Michael Ohanu and of course Alao Dambani scoring the third one in the second half to make it 3-0 for the Ilorin side. In other results of match day 10 of the Nigeria Professional Football League, Adamawa United and FC Ifeanyi Uba played out a 1-1 draw. Kano Pillars beat MFM FC of Lagos by 1-0. Katsina United and Jigawa Golden Stars, it was the same scoreline as it ended in favor of Katsina United. Of course, Nasarawa United, playing at the Lafia Township Stadium, beat Akwa United by 2-1, while it was a goalless draw between Wiki Tourists of Bauchi and Sunshine Stars of Akure. The season is back again, and the big boys, when it comes to the UEFA Champions League, will be playing the round of 16. The first batch of matches for the round of 16 will take center stage this weekend. Of course, 5-time champions Barcelona are in the thick of things. Let's take a look at this preview by Omoyemwe Unubu.
The UEFA Champions League is back, and a number of top matches are lined up as the second round commences tonight. Among them are Barcelona welcoming Paris Saint-Germain to Camp Nou for what should be a firing encounter in the first leg of their last 16 showdown. Ronald Koeman's side progressed from the Group G as runners-up to set up a tie with PSG. And the visitors have made no secret of their desire to bring Lionel Messi to the Parc des Princes. But the 33-year-old did not let the speculation affect him on Saturday, as his 2 goals helped propel Barcelona to a 5-1 La Liga victory over Alaves. PSG also warmed up for this game in optimal fashion with a 2-1 triumph over Nice in Ligue 1, and we have to deal with several absentees from the trip to Catalonia. Leipzig will entertain Liverpool in Budapest Puskás Stadium. The first ever competition meeting between the two sides will be held at the neutral venue due to coronavirus restrictions, and Liverpool will be looking to take advantage of Leipzig's lack of a home fixture in the two-legged tie. It is going to be the first ever meeting between these two sides. Leipzig are coming from a 2-1 win over Augsburg, despite resting 5 key players in preparation for the Liverpool game. That win made it 4 on the bounce for Leipzig. They have lost just 2 of their last 15 matches and won 11. Liverpool, on the other hand, have failed to score in 1 of the last 5 matches, but have 8 goals in the 5 matches. In the 6 group stage matches, they won 4 and lost 1, while keeping 4 clean sheets. Juventus will travel to FC Porto on Wednesday as the Serie A giant look to continue their fine run. The Italians have won 7 straight matches in all competitions, while Porto have won their last 6 and are expected to be a re-challenge to the old ladies' European ambition. And Sevilla have been in recent form lately and will be looking to extend the same to Europe when they host Borussia Dortmund in Abuja. Omoyemi Onubu.
It's showtime again, and it's another match day of the UEFA Champions League. After the break that we saw last year following the conclusion of group stage matches, it's time for the round of 16. And to talk more about it, Ernest Osogbuwe is an Abuja-based sports analyst, and he joins us on Sports Reel today. You're welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, how much have you really missed the UEFA Champions League?
Well, look, see, this 2020-2021, I agree football is important, but the most important thing is to stay alive. So just being alive, avoiding COVID or even getting it and surviving it, I mean, it's wonderful. And then to see footballers still playing and giving people joy at home, to those in isolation and of course those on lockdown, is very exciting.
Now let's take a look at the pairings we expect to see on Tuesday, because FC Barcelona, 5-time champions, will be taking on PSG. Remember, PSG were last year's finalists, and also on Tuesday we shall be seeing RB Leipzig, the German team, taking on Liverpool. And let's start with the RB Leipzig Liverpool match. RB Leipzig, they were one of the dark horses last season in the UEFA Champions League, but Liverpool, who were champions 2 seasons ago, they're struggling when it comes to the Premier League title defense, and also no one knows what they will bring to the table when it comes to the Champions League.
Well, I mean, you can't get form suddenly or throw away form suddenly. So definitely what they are doing in the English Premier League is definitely what they're going to take into the UEFA Champions League. I agree, sometimes teams, depending on your position, they come up with a different style and then get a win. What I have understood with the recent Liverpool struggles is that I think the management of Liverpool, they are not used to success. In recent years, they've not been a very successful team. I agree they've been winning the UEFA Champions League on and off, while they were not winning the English Premier League. But like I told someone, they need to consult Sir Alex Ferguson to understand how you keep your team competitive over a long period of time.
What about the big one that we expect to see at the Nou Camp, where FC Barcelona, coached by Ron Koeman, will be taking on PSG coached by Mauricio Pochettino? This is going to be another crazy encounter, because these are 2 of the finest teams, especially in the last 3 seasons. PSG were able to break that hoodoo last season. They got to the final, but it was not just going to be the title.
Yeah, I know that deep in their minds, especially for a player like Lionel Messi, he's been praying that probably this is the season he needs to get this UEFA Champions League, get another victory, and probably maybe at the end of the season and get to leave Liverpool in a blaze of glory. But I don't know how that is going to work out with the teams we are seeing in this coming towards the end of it. I don't know how Liverpool is going to fare. Then for...
You mean Barcelona, rather?
Barcelona. So
yeah.
Then for PSG, I don't know whether Pochettino has really got his rhythm going as the coach of that team, getting the players to perform at a certain level and getting his own kind of lineup ready that gives him the result he wants. Because I think he's still fresh as a coach of that team. So coming into this now, Liverpool is just beginning to find their feet in the La Liga. So I think, and they are playing at home. They are playing at the Nou Camp.
Yeah, they're playing at the Nou Camp.
So, and then of course we have information that Neymar may not be available. Am I correct?
That's for PSG.
Yeah, for PSG.
Yeah.
So probably, I don't know, maybe it is an opportunity for maybe Barcelona to just get one over PSG.
And let's take, it believes Liverpool might be able to spring a surprise. You're sitting on the fence for that one?
I'm not believing that Liverpool are going to spring a surprise. I think Nigerian may get an edge over that.
All right, so you're going for RB Leipzig, and of course you're going for FC Barcelona to get this one.
Correct.
Now let's cross cross over to Wednesday to see what we have on Wednesday, because it's going to be a big one between second place team in the Portuguese league, that's FC Porto, when they will be taking on Italian champions Juventus, who seem to be struggling so far this season based on the resurgence of AC Milan, and of course Inter Milan are not leaving anything to chance. What do you expect to see in that match?
I don't think Juve are actually struggling. Okay, you could say the resurgence of the Milanese teams, the Inter and the AC Milan, creating a little problem for them. And then, you know, after you win the Scudetto for about, is it 9 or 10 seasons?
Nine seasons now.
You expect a drop. And then, of course, you have a new coach coming in who has not coached at this level before. Bello, still trying to find his feet and get all of that. So I don't really think they are struggling. I think they're just building up their rhythm gradually. I think they will get there before the end of this season. I think so. Maybe sometime in March, April. I think Juve will get there. Not that they're going to win the league, I'm not saying that, but I think they're going to improve their performance. And when you have a player like Cristiano Ronaldo in your team, I mean, you could expect anything anytime.
Thank Ernest Osogbe for sharing his time with us on Sports Reel today. We thank you. We'll be looking forward to some of these your predictions. Possibly you can start calling you Octopus Ernest for now.
But you don't have to hold me. Just relax it. It's just to have some fun. We have to. If you don't predict and believe somebody's going to win, there's no excitement in the game.
Ernest Osogbe, thank you very much for coming on Sports Reel today.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now let's go for this quick break. When we return, there shall be more stories on Sports Reel.
He hung on that net like a stalk up a tree. NTA Sports 24 brings you all sports, all time and all day. Tune in to watch NTA Sports 24 on Star Times Channel 270, Star Sat on Channel 434 and Free TV on Channel 731. NTA Sports 24, where sports thrive.
You're welcome back from the break. Let's move on Sports Reel and tell you that the Kwara State government is renovating squash courts in Kwara State. 8 of them in particular, to further promote the sport in the state. Abdulwahid Bibiri reports that this renovation is also part of efforts by the state government to boost sports development in the state as well as other sports facilities. Let's take a look at his reports.
The only existing squash center at the Kwara State Stadium complex, Ilorin, was constructed in 1977 by Brigadier General George Agbasika Ini. The squash center is now a shadow of itself, as it is no longer suitable for training or hosting competition, hence the reason for the construction of 8 new squash courts. Veteran squash player Bola Magaji is optimistic that the move will rekindle the lost glory as far as the game of squash is concerned in the state.
We want to create more opportunity for people in terms of keeping fit, making money, because a lot will happen here. Tournaments, we'll host tournaments, hosting rights and other things will come, and it will benefit the state.
Belau Abdelkadri is the site engineer in charge of the project.
Of course, what you have here is 8-number squash court, and it's international standard basically, in terms of the space arrangement, in terms of the facilities provided, and the ambience is going to be provided to users and the generality of Korans.
Renovation and upgrading of facilities are also ongoing at the Olympic-sized swimming pool, handball court, and the basketball court, all within the premises of the stadium complex. Abdulwahid Bibiri, NTA News.
From Ilorin, let's come back to Abuja and talk about Golf Sixes, because Golf Sixes actually is an international tournament, a format that has been ongoing with the inaugural tournament in the year 2017 in England. But back in Nigeria, it was celebration galore over the weekend for Team B, which emerged overall champions of the maiden Golf Sixes Nigeria 2021 tournament, which held at the TYB International Golf Resort and Country Club, Abuja. Well, that golf course is also known as the Eagle Golf Club here in the Federal Capital Territory. Now, Team B, made up of the quartet of Air Vice Marshal Kingsley Law, who led the trio of Jekenu, Adeleke and Atta, exhibited great golfing skills to win the contest by 2 holes to spare against Team I on a memorable day at the TYB International Golf and Resorts Country Club, Abuja.
Those who played very well yesterday, today something may have gone wrong. They didn't play as well as they did yesterday. Those of us who didn't play too well yesterday, I think we haven't been to church today. God remembered us, and we did very well to be able to emerge as champions.
In the game of golf, there's an element of luck and chance. I want to also believe that fatigue setting at a particular stage, and opponents had the upper hand. However, I want to use this opportunity to thank the organizers of golf 6-6. It is a very novel one.
Now, Kayode Adeniyi for the reports that the tournament was historic because it afforded the competitors another opportunity to showcase their skills, including gentlemen and lady golfers at the TYB International Golf Resort and Country Club.
This is one of the important ways to showcase the club and to bring it to the knowledge of Nigerians and even the international audience that we have a facility of this magnitude, located here in Abuja.
We just felt, let's give it back to the elders. Let's give it back to the senior citizens. Let's dedicate this one to them, and make this a tournament that is going to solely be for them. And the response has been tremendous.
The maiden edition of Golf 6's Nigeria 2021 tournament was strictly reserved for players aged 55 and above, and of course it saw 65 players compete for 16 teams over 2 days. From Golf 6's, let's come back here to the main bowl of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium and tell you that Olalekan Kilajolu has packaged sports tidbits for us.
Bayern Munich have signed RB Leipzig centre-back Dayot Upamecano, with the Frenchman set to join the German champions on July 1st. This was after Bayern paid Upamecano's buyout clause, worth a reported €42.5 million. Upamecano, who had been linked to Manchester United, Chelsea and Liverpool, has been at Leipzig 4.5 years and played 139 games. The 22-year-old has agreed a 5-year deal with Bayern. In tennis, former champion Rafael Nadal cruised into the quarterfinals of the 2021 Australian Open. The 2009 winner gained a routine 6-3, 6-4, 6-2 win over Italy's 16th seed Fabio Fognini at Melbourne Park. Nadal's victory means he has reached a Grand Slam quarterfinal for the 43rd time, going on to win 20 titles, although his only success in Melbourne was 12 years ago over Roger Federer. The number 2 seed came into this tournament with a back injury, having withdrawn from the ATP Cup earlier this month, but has not dropped a set in his 4 matches. Nadal will face Stefanos Tsitsipas in the last 8 on Wednesday. To athletics, steeplechase world champion Beatrice Chikoich has broken the women's 5-kilometer rolled world record, finishing the Monaco run in 14 minutes 43 seconds. The Kenya, who also holds the 3,000-meter steeplechase world record, battled windy conditions with assistance from male peacemaker Luke Mars. The 29-year-old took a seconds off previous mark set by Sifan Hassan at the same event in 2019. And to UFC, the Nigerian Nightmare Kamaru Usman has cemented his legacy as one of the greatest welterweight champions in UFC history. Usman retained his title after defeating former sparring partner Brazilian Gilbert Burns via technical knockout in the 3rd round at the Apex Arena in Las Vegas. The bout, which saw Burns startle a cautious Usman with a big right hand in his temple in the 1st round, changed course in the 2nd and 3rd, which only lasted 34 seconds for a fight considered to be the Nigerian's toughest defense of his title. This is the 3rd time Usman is defending his belt since he snatched the title from Tyron Woodley in 2019. With the victory, he surpasses UFC legend Jorge St. Pierre's record for the largest winning streak of 13 in the division. Those are the tidbits for now. I am Olalekan Kilajolu.
Sports Tidbits rounds off Sports Reel this Tuesday on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I'm Ayodeji Makinde. Please do remember that COVID-19 is real and the figures are rising on a daily basis. Please, let's observe all the protocols according to the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. From the main bowl of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, where actually